This is Jenny Lynn, and I am so excited to be here with Max Traylor. Yeah. See, we're doing that. There you go.
That's my hand signal for I'm ready. You've selected the right person, Jenny.
Well, I am so excited to have you here, Max, because I got to know you, gosh, it's been a little bit ago. But one of the things I've always been fascinated about is that I have never seen someone who's been able to accomplish so much and yet work so little.
Well, it's the art of yes, the art of appearing that I have accomplished many things.
No, you really do. I've seen your work product. I've seen what you do. I've worked with you. I've had clients work with you. You achieve some amazing flipping results.
And my wife still has no idea what I've accomplished. So if you guys ever want to hang out, and you can let her know.
This is the other reason I had you on. You make me laugh, and I'm sure everyone else will enjoy it too. So thank you for being here, Max.
Cheers. Prost.
So I want to start at the beginning, which is, have you ever been a workaholic? Because I have never met a Max Traylor who was a workaholic.
Yes. But it was against, everyone has to go against their parents. And my rebellion was a short stint as a workaholic, because I actually grew up with my dad telling me to put my personal life first and build a business around my personal life. And he would always say that meant digital, scalable, residual, but I was 5. I didn't know what that meant. So I went to high school like other people. I went to college. And I even went to the #1 school in the world for entrepreneurism, whatever, Babson. And even with that, I still went out into the working world. I was running my own agency, but I prided myself on effort.
Mm-hmm.
I assumed that if I was putting in an unsustainable, unhealthy amount of effort, it meant that I was getting ahead. It meant that I could hold my head high in pride. Yeah, I did that. I ran an agency. Who has ever, anyone that's ever ran an agency is now currently a workaholic.
Yeah. I've got a few of those in my roster. Yes.
Yeah, unless you have like a general manager that calls you once a week and they're like, it's crazy down here. Like, then maybe.
So I'm really curious. This is so interesting to me, because most of the people that I talked to had those voices in their head from the time they were very young, their parents, their school environment, saying that if they work harder, they're going to get further ahead. And it sounds like you didn't have those same influences around you.
My parents divorced when I was 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
My father's side, the digital, scalable, residual side, I'm a 4th generation entrepreneur on that side of the family. Mm-hmm. My dad was the first one out of 3 generations to put his personal life first. He spends a lot of time playing tennis. Mm-hmm. It's actually hard to get him in a scenario where he's working. So he plays tennis almost all day, every day. And on my mother's side of the family, she grew up very differently. She didn't grow up with anything really. And so she went back to college at an older age and got her degree, went into corporate and worked her butt off. And my stepfather, who amazing guy, but he was all corporate as well. He's like an investment banking advisory firm. And so, split custody. On the weekends, I was an entrepreneur, and on the weekdays going to school, it was like, you got to work hard. And so it was a really cool hybrid of, I got to feel both sides and I got to see both sides. And, but you get out of college and you do what everyone else does, I think was the default. And it just didn't take me that long to decide that it wasn't for me. And the defining moment was when I met the person I was pretty confident I was going to marry. And I started thinking about the type of dad I wanted to be. And the thing that I knew I wanted to do, no matter what, was be around. And if I stayed at that agency, I was never going to be around.
Yeah.
And if I was, I wouldn't be present.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided while I was still young and had the energy, I would figure out how to do my own thing, work from home. That was 8 years ago, and still on the learning curve, but I'm here.
Which is amazing. Which is amazing.
Beer in hand, ready to rock
Yes.
and roll.
For everyone's reference, Max hosts a killer podcast called Beers with Max. So anytime you get Max in a great conversation, you're probably going to be enjoying a beer as well. So
Cheers.
Cheers. So it's interesting because I definitely, and a lot of the people that I talk to, missed moments of our kids' lives. Like we did. We missed moments. And even when we were physically there, we were on the phone. So you managed to sidestep that. You managed to sidestep that altogether, it sounds like.
No, I'm on the phone a lot. It tears me apart when my son's like, "Daddy, can we play?" And I'm like, "No, I'm gonna go to work, buddy." And my dad was always on the phone. But when I grew up, I realized that so many things that I picked up of when he was on the phone, I learned from that. So I learned a ton about selling. I learned everything I know about selling from just listening to him, 5 years old, sell people on the phone. But we were driving to Disney World while he was on the phone. So like, it's never perfect. But we created some barriers, and the barriers were we always went to Disney World every couple of weeks. He'd take me out of school. So there was some defined things that that became like a predictable system that told me like I was the priority.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you got to do your thing, but you also have to, if you have definable barriers around your personal time, for me, that's definable. Like I plan when I'm going to golf. My wife makes sure that there's some things on the calendar where I'm taking the kids to do something because I can't wiggle away from that. So I have to contribute at some point. And they're there, and if she asked me to do more, I would do more, and I can do more. And that's the point, is that I'm not beholden to the work, and I do as much as I want. But it's a conscious decision to put the personal stuff first and then make business decisions based on that and not the other way around.
Yeah. So how do you know which of those voices or those areas of your life to listen to at any point in time? How did you develop that sense of judgment and discernment?
I've always been a shoot first, ask questions later. I don't know. If there's sun outside, I'll generally play golf. If my wife says yes, and she says yes a lot. So if it's sunny, I'm generally playing golf. If it's not sunny or I've just played golf, I will work. And when I'm not golfing and working, I'm with my kids because I don't like commute. So
there you go.
So it generally falls into place.
So you've made it such that you can shoot from the hip and pretty much hit what you want. And what is it that you want?
Like in general?
Yeah. What do you want to be true about your?
I didn't waste any time. And I didn't sit there sacrificing, waiting for a moment in the future when I could enjoy life. I really, sure, I plan time to do the work, but if I was gone tomorrow looking down, I'd be like, I couldn't possibly have had more fun during my working years. Like I prioritized the fun stuff. I did the stuff. I made difficult business decisions and created uncomfortable new behaviors. Not that I was working harder, but you have to do different things. You have to exercise different muscles. You have to be uncomfortable. And so I'm willing to be uncomfortable in the working environment so that I can fully enjoy the rest of it. And I prioritized that. And so Yeah, I guess that's what I want is never to like regret that I didn't take that golf trip, or I wasn't around to bring my kid to the trampoline park, where the heck he's into. Uh yeah, I haven't been asked that question.
I don't know what that says about me.
It's a deep interview.
It's a deep. I am guilty of that. I am guilty of that.
First question, we'll start with a softball. What do you want out of life? Oh, Jenny.
Well, you had a really, really interesting nugget there. I wrote down is really the importance of being uncomfortable in work in order to be able to accomplish this life. This life is not necessarily one that just falls in your lap. It's one that you've got to stretch and push yourself. So how did you develop that muscle and that ability to know where and how to be uncomfortable in work?
Well, I suppose it starts with the way that I plan things. So I have a me first planning policy. My dad always said, protect your quarterback. What he meant was like, make sure I'm good. Make sure you take care of dad so that he has the energy to bring you to Disney and all these things.
Wise man.
So I take care of myself first. I plan the fun stuff, and then I plan working on the business, which is some of those uncomfortable things, like innovation and marketing and selling and creating systems and support roles to do the things that I actually don't like doing, different from the things that make you uncomfortable. Don't like doing or aren't the best use of my time, because I find that some of the best uses of your time are the things that make you uncomfortable.
Yep.
For example, the first time I did a workshop with 10 people I didn't know, I was uncomfortable. But I know, like, I am meant to be in front of people, like the energy, the facility, it's one of my unique abilities. So perfect example of embracing the uncomfort about it. And the last thing I do is I plan my client work, because I know that I will never let my clients down. But I also know that if I put my clients first and I do that first, I will have no energy to play golf or for my kids. I will be tired and I will want to watch a show on Netflix when I'm done. So I digress. I think the question was,
I think you answered it. It was really about the sense of being uncomfortable. So sometimes we run into these situations where we know to get to the next level, we have to get uncomfortable. And when I talk to a lot of people trying to get beyond workaholism, they're stuck, and they're stuck because it requires them to get uncomfortable, to operate at a different level, to charge a different price, to sell a different way, to set boundaries, to be confident they can replace clients if people leave. They need to push themselves. So how did you develop that? Yeah.
Well, I guess so I guess the answer is, when you do put your personal life first and you make that a priority, and you take away the possibility of not doing it, which is something I learned from a Hall of Fame motivational speaker, Jim Cathcart. He says the secret to his success is he figured out the ideal for him, and then he took away the possibility of not doing it. And when you do that, all the challenges just become a part of the plan. They are no longer reasons to procrastinate or not do it or be afraid. They now need to be planned out as part of the solution. So anyway, you are forced to be very clear about what needs to happen in your business in order to accomplish those personal things. Last year, I decided I wanted to take every 4th month off. It was uncomfortable to tell my paying clients that I'm not going to be around for a month. And they're like, well, what do we do? I'm like, you pay me in advance for when I get back. That's uncomfortable. It worked out fantastic. I took every 4th month off and then some. But it's just one of those things of like, I put myself first, and then you have to have some uncomfortable conversations to make it work for you. Let alone some different behaviors that you might, and skills that you might need to develop.
Yeah, is there anything in that moment when people are procrastinating and pushing off? Is there anything that you would recommend that they do to get through that? Because for a lot of people, this is a new muscle.
Well, I mean, it depends on what they're procrastinating. There was a great book on procrastination whom I should interview the person, but it basically it was Dan Sullivan.
Okay.
And I don't know, it was like The Art of Procrastination or something like that. And he explains that there's a reason you're procrastinating. Sometimes you procrastinate on something because it's actually something that isn't important and doesn't need to be done. And a lot of the times I figure that out. Like I have something on my plan that I need to do, and then I just don't do it. And 3 weeks go by and I'm like, actually, everything's fine. And I just like cross it out. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. It could also be something that you naturally avoid for whatever reason. Probably a little bit of it's not valuable, probably a little bit of you don't want to do it. And in that case, having a delegation partner was a life changer for me. A third party that was aware of what you were trying to accomplish. I speak out what I'm committing to. And if something's on that list 3 times in a row and it's not done, it's either gone or they take it from me. And by taking it from me, they create a system for it. They say, great, Max, you're going to sit down right now and you're going to create a video on what needs to be done. That video goes to somebody that creates a process around it. And then it goes to my VA or somebody that's specialized in that thing. And it just gets taken from me. And if it's something that I wanted to do, too bad. Like this happened with like my podcast post-production. I thought that I was the only person that could listen to a Max Traylor interview and pick out the important stuff. Boy, was I wrong. In fact, I was too close to it. I would pick out the nerdiest things that no one understood. And I was just like, that's the key to the universe. And no one, they were like, you didn't say anything. Like, yeah, but look at my eyes.
Call the eyes, Max. When did this all right?
You kind of have to distance yourself from some of this stuff. Anyway.
No, I completely agree. That was one of my commitments when I started my podcast, as it's all done by someone else. So I'm like, someone else pull out the nuggets, because I just want to sit here and have a great conversation with Max. And then I want someone else to look at it and say, when I listen to it after the fact, here's what I took away.
Yeah. So, long story short, there's things that make you uncomfortable that are a priority. And there are the things that, hey, if you're procrastinating on some things that aren't the number one thing, like, maybe you shouldn't be doing it.
And how many things are we all doing that we shouldn't be doing?
Oh. Well, if you really want a sobering lesson in how much time you're wasting, track your time. Because the other thing we'll do is we're good at lying to ourselves about how much time we spent on things.
Yes, we are.
Right. Right. And it's like, there's no rhyme or reason to it. Something that is terrible that we shouldn't be doing. We could lie to ourselves and tell us that we didn't do a lot of it to make ourselves feel better. We could lie to ourselves and say we did too much of it because we just want to be pissed off and have someone to blame. So like it's a complete nightmare. You have no idea what you should even be delegating unless you track your time. And I'm not talking about client hours. I'm talking about all the time in your business: innovation, marketing, sales, consulting, and administrative. Those are the 5 categories of contribution. If you're not tracking your time, you're probably spending 80% of your time on consulting, 10% on sales, 10% on administrative, and you do nothing for innovation, nothing for marketing until you completely change your business, or you're starting a business, in which case you have an influx of innovation. But
yeah, time tracking has been one of the cores of recognizing every time I'm off track and getting back on. You and I are very much fellow time tracking, nerds.
We should have like a time trackers guild where we actually can because the data doesn't exist. Like now we have real data. And again, I'm not talking about client hours. I'm talking about like, we could figure some stuff out, because I've done deep thought. And I have years of data of like really well organized and categorized time tracking.
Yes. Oh, that's a brilliant idea. Now, for those people out there who are struggling to track time, because that is something I hear a lot of pushback on from a lot of people. What are the things that people tell?
No. No. For that, I have zero tolerance. Be an adult. Track your time. No. For that, no.
Yep.
No, as difficult. Look, right now I have a timer going because I pressed the start button and I clicked marketing. Man, I can't do it. No, you can do it.
Yeah.
People just have limiting beliefs about it. And like, you're running a business. I'm sorry. Like, for all the fun I like to have, like, you do need to run a business. And if you do not track your time, it means you have zero understanding of your cost structure, because your cost structure is your time.
So what is your time telling you right now? You look at it all the time. I know you do. What is it telling you right now?
I have done, so for 3 years, my marketing category has been less than 10% of my time, which is unhealthy. I believe if you're going to run a business by yourself, you got to be balanced, right? So 20% innovation, 20% marketing. Those are the two things that generate profit. They're one-to-many activities. Very, very good. Then you've got consulting and sales. Those are one-to-one activity. They generate revenue, but they're not going to help you charge a premium or be more sought after in the marketplace. It's just trading time for dollars, but you got to do it. 20% in each of those categories. Administrative is the cost of doing all the other things. You have to create systems, you have to do billing and that sort of thing. And I have always neglected marketing, probably because I ran a marketing agency and I was just so sick of it. So it was less than 10%. So this year, because I am dedicated to growing my client base numerically, I've shifted away from organizations and focused more on independent consultants, which shifts my revenue model. I need more clients paying less money. Which means I need to market myself. And so I am happily 6 weeks into waking up every day and doing at least an hour of marketing myself. That's why you see I've posted on LinkedIn every day. Luckily, I have been innovating forever. I've got books, I've got workbooks, I've got studies, I've got all sorts of tinker bells and whistles that I've just never marketed. I've never pushed out into the world. So my time is telling me that I am successfully creating a new behavior that I can rely on. And I think it's, I feel like I'm growing up in a sense.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I love what you said. When we look at the past, it doesn't only tell us what's broken, it also tells us what we're doing really well and what we're developing. And it's so important to see both of those things at the same time if we're going to grow as people.
Yeah, and in fact, I actually have the numbers if you're curious.
Yeah, because I was just pulling up mine while you're talking.
From the first month. Oh, I was so close. Okay, so innovation was 10%, 9.5%. I worked 95 hours in January. So whatever, do your math. And innovation was 9.5%. That's intentional because like I just launched like I've got all the innovation I need. Marketing was 27%. That is more than double my average over the last 3 years. That is the new behavior. Awesome. 20% sales, which is about 2/3 of what it normally is. Now that is being offset by the amount of marketing activity that I'm doing. Granted, I haven't sold much. We'll get to that in Q2.
Hey, it takes time.
Well, new offerings, new audiences. Consulting, 28% of my time, so a little high on consulting hours, and administrative is 20%. So really, I've traded sales and innovation time for a little bit of consulting and marketing, but really, the whole marketing thing is the new muscle that I. Step one is, do you have a reliable behavior? Can I count on you to spend time doing anything? I have that. I can, now I can start to really look at what I'm doing in that category that's creating the impact, create some systems around that, cut the fat.
It's a great space to be. So you talked about the hardest part of moving beyond workaholism as being guilt.
Yeah.
How does it show up?
How does it show up? How does guilt manifest itself? Well, I must say I am I would say I'm fully rehabilitated when it comes to workaholism. So
Mhm.
I am now thinking back to the days when I felt guilty
Mhm.
about not working as much.
Congratulations.
It manifests itself in when you for the space you have created in your life, you'll see work creep in. If I'm sitting and watching a movie with my kids, or I'm sitting in bed, whatever, you'll open your email, or you'll do something innocent like read an article.
Mhm.
But that's your brain going, I need to contribute. I'm searching for an idea. And
Mhm.
for me, I would always write myself emails in the middle of the night.
Mhm.
Great ideas, by the way. But like
Mhm.
I would have had those ideas like whatever, some other time. And so I think that's how it comes through. It's a very like I always had really defined barriers. So it was the way work creeped outside of those barriers in ways that were seemingly innocent, and then you can justify it to yourself that, well, everyone around me is working 12-hour days and they're commuting to work, and every time I talk to them they say how miserable they are. I'm not miserable, so let me go the extra mile and to get some of that misery, to feel like I'm a part of the clan. I'm a part of
Mhm.
the, let's sacrifice, let's work hard.
Mhm.
And then, when I would be excited about something like, hey, I worked 20 hours this week, I closed all this business, you'll get the, well, it's nice for you, Max, whenever you want to come back to the real world. So we're influenced by our peers in a lot of ways. And until you directly seek out a peer group of people that are as crazy as you are,
Mhm.
doing your own thing, you're constantly influenced by, we'll be bold, we'll call it the dark side, the corporate side,
Mhm.
the sacrifice until you can no longer sacrifice. And then, you take a flight to Mexico with a wheelchair because you can't play golf anymore, but you're on vacation, you're retired,
Mhm. I've been hearing a theme for a lot of the interviews, and you just hit it on the head, which is one of the keys to moving forward is finding people, and you said who are as crazy as you, which I love, but people who want the same things that you want so that you can co-create a world in which the things you're pursuing are reinforced.
Yeah, Simon Sinek's your strongest relationships are with people that believe what you believe.
Yeah. So
Tribal dynamics.
how do people find those people? How did you find those people, Max?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked, because they don't advertise themselves out
No, they
there on
don't.
the internet. No, you have to talk to people, ladies and gentlemen. My father would always say the greatest secret is the telephone. And so, like, people like, I don't want to make like, shut up. Don't, like, just the concept, like, there is no cold call. There is talking to people that don't know you, and you have to talk to people that don't know you, because how else are you going to know if they believe what you believe? How else are you going to know if you enjoy talking to them? You got to get out there and talk to people. And there's a lot of ways to do that. I created the Beers with Max podcast, which used to be a networking thing, because I like talking to people. And so I talked to people for 8 years, and they talk to people, and your network expands. And so, I'm a big fan of focus, but you can only identify so many characteristics that should lead to somebody that you like hanging out with, like industry, where they are in their business, things that are publicly identifiable. Great. But at the end of the day, when you have a conversation with somebody, for me, do they also feel that they should be putting their personal life first, and that they can build a business around their personal life? You can't tell that without talking to somebody. So you got to talk to people.
And in the process, it sounds like you've made some really cool friends.
Yeah. And I've met people that I know I never want to talk to again.
There you go, which sometimes has its own value.
Equally valuable. That's what I was going to say. Equally valuable. There's a bunch of books on, like, especially for salespeople, the most valuable skill you can have as a salesperson is determining when someone is not a fit. not a fit. Because the people that are a fit, you have to spend a lot of time on.
Yeah.
So if you're confused about who's a fit, if you don't have like a sharp bullshit radar, you're going to be spending a lot of time on people that are never going to convert.
Mm-hmm.
And that will be your demise.
Yeah. Then it's okay to have a great conversation and walk away and say that's the last one. It is no,
Yeah.
it does not have to be an insult. It does not have to be a personal thing. It can just be simply that
It's a
that's
part
all
of
right.
meeting people.
It
They're
is.
not going to be everyone's cup of tea. They're not going to be your cup of tea. But if you are, you got to be willing to say like, hey, I feel it. Do you feel it? You want to go on a date? i.e. pay me $500 to do a workshop or whatever it is. And they might say no, and you got to be vulnerable.
Mm-hmm. We all love being vulnerable, don't we?
No.
Sarcastic statement there.
Yeah, nobody likes that. People I have found have trouble. People that do adopt this I need to talk to people. Great. They're very purpose driven, and so they have an emotional connection to the people that they talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And so they are terrified to bring that into the professional realm. They are terrified to ask the question, do you want to pay me for help?
Mm-hmm.
They're afraid of sacrificing a new personal relationship because let's face it, if somebody says, no, I don't want to work with you, that's probably going to be it. Unless you got other cool stuff going on. And so they just don't do it. And so they make a lot of friends, but friends don't pay the bills. So I enjoy the mindset that selling is helping for a profit. My dad always said, hey, I would do it for free, but if I can't keep the electricity on, no, he'd say he'd say that sometimes, but if I can't pay the cell phone bill, I'm not going to be here when you call me.
I love
I'm
that.
obligated to charge you.
I love it.
So
I went to something the other day, and he said, you're not paying for the classes, you're paying for the building, you're paying for the teachers and the staff, you're paying for the bookkeeping, you're paying for he's like, don't think about it as you're paying for the classes. He's like, all this stuff costs money for me to deliver this to you, so you're paying for all of it. And I was like, oh, that's another way of looking at it.
Yeah, David Baker said to me in an interview, great agency consultant, and we share our opinion that no one is charging enough.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I charge people when I have to spend time on them that I would otherwise spend helping everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And what he meant is like he writes books, he does big seminars, he does all these talks, and that helps, thousands of people. So if I have to put thousands of people on the back burner to have a conversation with you to help you, I'm going to charge you for that.
Yep. Oh, what a good way of looking at it.
Yeah,
What
I thought it was a very like objective, like cut and dry, like.
Yep. And I think a lot of us can say that's true. A lot of us are working on projects that will help with the masses, will help at larger scales. And so we are putting aside that time if we take on additional clients. It's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, like nonprofits have to pay their employees.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because someone's got to, eat.
Hopefully you and I are going to eat, Max.
I'm going to play golf first.
And speaking of that, you, a lot of your philosophy centers around having a really clear vision, a really clear reward, a really clear set of things that you want to enjoy in life. How do you propose or advise? What was the way that you figured out what those things are? They're golf for you. It's your kids. It's what you want your legacy to be. For people that are struggling to figure out what that is, how do they find it?
I mean, I feel blessed to know, what I want to do. I always was super competitive, and I got that from my dad. So I played hockey. I was the MVP in my hockey league. I'm 5'7", so that didn't work out when college came around. No, thank you. And so I got into paintball. I became number 5 professional paintball player in the world. Quit that during COVID. Now I'm into golf. So like I just need something. I'm so into what I do. I need something that is completely immersive that will take away my focus no matter what. That's what those things have been. And I don't know what it is about golf, but wow, if you don't play golf, never touch a golf club because you will be addicted for life. There's just
So
something about it that, like, it's something about something that you can never master, no matter how hard you work. That's cool. For people that haven't found that because they spent 5 days a week
or
working
6 or 7.
or six, the reality is that you've never been given enough space
Oh,
to figure it out. Like my mother retired maybe 4 years ago. She just started playing pickleball. She fucking loves pickleball, man.
I
What
just
is pickleball?
I just started playing that last month for the same reason.
Yeah, so
I was
like,
I need some hobbies, and someone invited me to play pickleball at a networking event. And I'm like,
yeah,
sure.
so I think the answer is you just got to create some space and just try some shit.
Oh,
You just got to go. You just got to try some stuff.
oh.
Now, there's a reason she didn't pick up pickleball when she was working. There was no space for pickleball.
Mhm.
No, I don't know. Maybe the answer is go play pickleball. I guess it's catching on, but
I think it's partly where you live in the country too. I'm hearing it's a very
yeah, maybe.
not
Right.
last thing.
Pickleball, right. It's probably good in like the Northeast because golf is the worst in the Northeast because like half the year is snowy. But
I won't rub in the Arizona thing right now. Do, 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 do.
yeah. Well, midday in the summer. I
Uh,
don't need to be you.
I'm actually okay with it. I'm one of those freaky people that's okay with
Yeah.
100 degrees,
Yeah.
mowing my
Yeah.
lawn in the middle of the day with sweat dripping down. It's like, yes, this is the
Yeah,
life.
but we're so indoctrinated. Like even somebody that's done the corporate thing or even done your own thing and you've never really, like, you haven't taken a month off, right?
Mhm.
Um, I wouldn't even trust you if you said I really like this. Like when I was a kid, I loved oysters more than anything. And I came up to Massachusetts and my dad grew up with this Captain Martin guy who had like a boat who like they get oysters, right? So we sat down at the bar and he gave me like a bucket of oysters and I ate them. I ate probably 200 oysters.
Wow.
I was cured. So like you never really know if you love something until you do it 200 times, like in a row. I like oysters. Do you eat 200? Now, if I ate 200 of those oysters and I was like, bring them on, and then it's like, okay, Max loves oysters. That's what I think people feel about like those weekend activities. I really like to go bowling on the weekends. No, like, what if you had 30 days off? Like, what could you just immerse yourself in that you would just be incredibly thrilled to wake up every single day and do? I don't think people have enough space to figure that out yet. I think the first thing they need to go do is go figure out the answer to that question. Did that sound preachy? It sounded preachy.
It's so true. I don't need to say anything because it's so true. But here's what I heard today.
I still love oysters, by the way.
Oh, well, good for you. I don't. Part of me, so I will admit, part of me in the 200 oysters conversation was picturing the slimy little things going down my throat. And I was like, so
yeah, I'm a big fan.
Not an oyster person. So your advice to everyone is get uncomfortable in your work. You're going to be pushing yourself. It's to create space, to find things, find what you like to do, figure out what matters. Pick up the phone and find people as crazy as you who are going to help compel and drive you towards this end. Protect the quarterback, make sure you take care of yourself first.
First planning.
Yes. And then plan for your client work so that you are still making sure that none of those balls drop, but that you are coming with a full
My dad would say, be selfish on behalf of your clients.
Oh, I love that. Be selfish on behalf of your clients.
I'm doing it for you, Jenny.
Thank you. An effort
sounds very narcissistic, depending on your tone, but don't worry about that.
I think you can. I think Max. I think you can get away with a lot in a conversation.
Narcissism for Dummies, Volume 2.
And most importantly, effort does not equal results. So that voice in your head telling you that the harder you work, it is not telling you the truth.
Yeah. And never, ever, ever charge hourly
Yeah.
because of that last point.
Mm-hmm.
If effort does not equal results, charging hourly incentivizes you to do more work for the same result. You want to be in the business. The best skill for a solopreneur is to get better results with less effort.
Yes, to be in the market of innovating.
Yeah. And if you charge hourly, that will put you out of business.
Mm-hmm.
I create life-changing results in an hour.
Well, sorry, you have no electricity.
Do you have any final other words of wisdom for people, Max?
I hope not. But I hope I didn't get too preachy. There's a lot of other things to talk about. We could do episodes. I could have a residency at Death of a Workaholic Incorporated.
I'd love that.
I could just be in a back room somewhere, and like when it gets real tough, you just pull Max out in chains.
And Max can pull out his box of tissues he sends his clients to make sure that they have something to cry in on those tougher moments.
That's
right?
what so I'll end with that. I literally do send my clients boxes of tissues. 2 people have cried today, just today, on my calls. I had 3 last week, but this advice is simple. Everyone's going to shake their head. It's not rocket science. They're like, oh my God, never thought of it that way. Well, maybe they never thought of it that way, but it's really simple advice. The challenge is the emotional and the psychological roller coaster that you go through when you start to do these things. That is the challenge. And I don't know if I can help people with that, other than there are other people out there that are going through the exact same thing. And so hang out with those people, be vulnerable with those people. And there's people out there that'll help you get through it.
Thank you for being my kind of crazy, Max.
Ooh, that's a good podcast name. My kind of crazy.
Oh, brilliance happening right there.
Or it could be like, go F yourself, San Diego. Is that your sign off line? Did I ruin it?
No. That was
okay. Well, it could be. You could say,
was
thank you for being my
hit,
kind of crazy.
Like,
That could be a sign off line.
All right, everyone. If you want to catch up with Max is a consultant, and he helps consultants put their personal lives first and build a business that works for them, not the other way around. I am so glad to have you here, Max. Thank you.
A lot of fun. Thank you.